नमस्कार सभी को। सबसे पहले तो हमारे सभी एक्सपर्ट मेंबर्स को डॉक्टर के HCFI हार्ट केयर फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया के इस प्रोग्राम राउंड टेबल एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप एनवायरनमेंट के सभी एक्सपर्ट को बहुत बहुत नवरात्रि दुर्गा पूजा की शुभकामनाएं, क्योंकि ये ऐसा जो फेस्टिवल है कि नॉट ओनली हमारे स्पिरिचुअल, हमारे अध्यात्म से जुड़ा है, हमारे नेचर से भी जुड़ा है और पूरी बायोडाइवर्सिटी से जुड़ा हो। माता के किसी रूप को देख लीजिए, हर एक रूप के साथ एक एनिमल का जो है वो उसके साथ में वाहन है उनका। तो ये पूरा बायोडाइवर्सिटी बहुत, इसको बड़ा अध्ययन, और हमारे शर्मा जी तो बता रहे थे, राजू शर्मा जी, कि इसका बहुत कभी बात करेंगे इस सब्जेक्ट पे। इसके साथ ही आज जो है हमारे राष्ट्रपिता की जन्मतिथि है, गांधी जयंती की सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। और आज का जो ये राउंड टेबल एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट है, इसका सब्जेक्ट लिया हुआ है ESG। ESG का मतलब है एनवायरमेंटल, सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस। ESG क्राइटेरिया इन एड्रेसिंग सस्टेनेबिलिटी। ये सब्जेक्ट थोड़ा सा रिसेंटली इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है, बट बहुत पॉपुलर नहीं है एज कम्पेयर टू CSR एंड बहुत सी एक्टिविटीज होती हैं। बट ESG का बहुत ही इम्पैक्ट है, क्योंकि हम सभी लोग आज कहीं कहीं इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, चाहे किसी कंपनीज में, आइदर थ्रू म्यूचुअल फंड और किसी तरह से। तो ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है, और पर्टिकुलरली जो पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के बाद तो ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया कि इस पे एनवायरनमेंट, सोशल गवर्नेंस पे कंपनीज की क्या परफॉर्मेंस है, उसके बेसिस पे ये डिसाइड होता है कि उसमें हमें कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए। तो ये सब्जेक्ट जो ESG है, एनवायरनमेंट सोशल गवर्नेंस क्राइटेरिया इन एड्रेसिंग सस्टेनेबिलिटी, इस पे हम बात करेंगे। मैं थोड़ी सी बैकग्राउंड दे करके, आई थिंक बहुत छोटी सी बैकग्राउंड देके देन संजीव कुमार जी से रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि वो फर्दर प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे डिटेल में। जो आपका कर सकते हैं। हाँ, ESG बेसिकली ए सेट ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड फॉर द कंपनी बिहेवियर यूज्ड बाय जो सोशली कंसर्न इन्वेस्टर्स टू स्क्रीन पोटेंशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट। किसी में हम करते तो हम क्या देखते हैं, हम देखते हैं उसकी कंपनी कैसी है, कैसी बैलेंस शीट है, क्या है, बहुत देखते हैं। बेसिकली कोई बड़ी कंपनी है, अब हम इसको देखते हैं उसका कि उसका पर्टिकुलरली जो बिहेवियर है और सोशली कॉन्शियस है, एनवायरनमेंट का है, गवर्नेंस पे है, ये सब चीजें हम देखते हैं। सो इसमें 3 जो क्राइटेरिया है, एनवायरनमेंट, सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस। जो एनवायरनमेंट क्राइटेरिया कंसीडर हाउ ए कंपनी सेफगार्ड एनवायरनमेंट इंक्लूडिंग कॉर्पोरेट पॉलिसी एड्रेसिंग क्लाइमेट चेंज, एक तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। सोशल क्राइटेरिया इसमें यूज होता है टू एग्जामिन हाउ इट मैनेज रिलेशनशिप विद द एम्प्लॉय, जो सप्लायर्स, कस्टमर्स एंड कम्यूटर्स वेयर इट ऑपरेट। थर्ड क्राइटेरिया इसका जो है इसका ESG का, गवर्नेंस डील विद द कंपनी लीडरशिप, एग्जीक्यूटिव पे, ऑडिट, जो इस तरह का जो है इंटरनल जो कंट्रोल सिस्टम है। सो ESG क्राइटेरिया आर यूज्ड to screen investment based on the corporate policy and to encourage company to act as responsible, environment responsible companies act. So particularly जो इसमें जो अभी रिसेंटली हुआ है, जो इन्वेस्टमेंट पर्टिकुलरली जो कुछ सालों से ये 2009 से ESG इंडिया में इंट्रोड्यूस हो गया था, बट 2015 के बाद जो पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के बाद इस पर बहुत फोकस हुआ है। एंड इन रिसेंट ईयर्स ESG investing has made it way to becoming an investing strategy, as ESG investing require balancing the consideration of environment, social and governance factor along with the financial factors. तो हम दोनों चीजें देखते, पहले हम केवल फाइनेंशियल फैक्टर्स देखते थे। दो इंटरनेशनली सेवरल इंस्टीट्यूट्स लाइक सस्टेनेबिलिटी अकाउंट स्टैंडर्ड जो बोर्ड है, ऐसे SB ग्लोबल रिपोर्टिंग इनिशिएटिव GRI है, एंड द टास्क फोर्स ऑन क्लाइमेट फाइनेंसिंग एंड डिस्क्लोजर TCFD are working on the to form the standards. बस इस ESG रिपोर्टिंग इंडिया स्टार्टेड इन एक्चुअली बेसिकली मैं बता रहा हूँ 2009 से बाय मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इशूइंग एन वॉलंटरी गाइडलाइंस लाइक दिस। बट द सेबी जो सिक्योरिटी एक्सचेंज बोर्ड ऑफ इंडिया थ्रू ए सर्कुलर ऑन 10th May 2021 इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट, BRSR को इंट्रोड्यूस किया। और अंडर इस जो BRSR SB इसके BRSR के अंडर में टॉप 1000 लिस्टेड क्वांटिटी हैं, नीड टू प्रोवाइड एन ओवरव्यू ऑफ दी entity material, ESG risk and the opportunity approach to mitigate and drop the risk along with the financial implications. और फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2000 जो 22-23 के लिए BSR SR इज मैंडेटरी फॉर द जो ये 1000 लिस्टेड एंटिटीज हैं, और हम ये अभी इतना देखते नहीं. आई थिंक इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर फ्यूचर ऑफ दी हमारा जो मनी है जो हम इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. तो इसकी डिटेल्स में हम डिस्कस करेंगे. तो मैं सबसे पहले रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा जो संजीव कुमार जी हैं, जो कि बहुत सीनियर ऑफिसर हैं आरई सस्टेनेबल लिमिटेड जो है, जो रामकी ग्रुप की है, और पहले भी उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन दिया है. ही इज वेरी वेरी एक्टिव ऑन दी ऑल सब्जेक्ट ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट. हमारे बहुत पुराने फ्रेंड हैं और ये बहुत इस पे काम कर रहे हैं. तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा संजीव कुमार जी से कि आज जो है इस सब्जेक्ट पे, आज ESG पे अपना जो है प्रेजेंटेशन प्रेजेंट करें. ओवर टू संजीव कुमार जी.
नमस्कार सर, सभी को दुर्गा सप्तमी की बहुत बड़ी शुभकामनाएं और आगे वाले 3 दिनों दशहरा की ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं.
संजीव सुन नहीं पा रहा हूँ.
हाँ आ रही, मुझे तो आ रही है, हम लोग तो आ रही है सर. आप थोड़ा सा अपना चेक कर लें.
जी सर, आवाज आ रही है मेरी सर? नमस्कार सर.
संजीव सुन नहीं पा रहा हूँ.
नहीं सर, आपकी प्रॉब्लम होगी. हमें हम लोग सब लोगों को आ रही है, आवाज आ रही है
सर. आवाज आ रही है सर?
जी आ रही है. हाँ संजीव कुमार जी. जी
सर नमस्कार सर, सभी को दुर्गा सप्तमी की शुभकामनाएं और आगे वाले 3 दशहरा की बहुत सारी शुभकामनाओं के साथ. अनिल सर ने ऑलरेडी इसका जेनेसिस और इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों है ये उन्होंने बताया है. मैं थोड़ा एक एक करके इसको और भी डिटेल में समझाने की कोशिश करूंगा कि लास्ट फ्यू इयर्स सिंस 2009 the financial industry has adopted that ESG it should be a standard terminology for the group to report the extra financial data. जनरली क्या होता था कि सभी कंपनी, सभी कॉर्पोरेट्स अपना फाइनेंशियल रिजल्ट्स बताते थे.
संजीव सुन नहीं पा रहा हूँ
सर. आपके सिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम होगी. आई थिंक वी ऑल कैन हियर. आपके ही सिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम है सर. आप रीलॉक कर ले, दोबारा से लॉक कर लें उसको, दोबारा से कर ले. हम लोग सुन पा रहे हैं संजीव जी की आवाज बिल्कुल. जी संजीव जी.
एक सेकंड में उनको मैसेज भेज रहा हूं सर, वो सुन नहीं पा रहे. प्लीज रीलॉग.
एक बार लॉग आउट करके फिर दोबारा से लॉग इन कर लीजिए.
इसमें ESG को ये माना गया कि एक्स्ट्रा फाइनेंशियल डेटा अपार्ट फ्रॉम द डेटा व्हिच वाज ऑडिटेड कमिंग अप एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट और द बैलेंस शीट. This data needs also to be reported by the company in a form that should be audited, and that should be presented as a data which is accountable on the front of how the company is performing on environment, how the company is performing on the social inclusion, and what are the governance level, what is the accountability of the directors or the board of directors to see that whether the company is performing on other fronts as well apart from financial data or not. So this was the purpose, and this was required that any further investment which is coming in the form of direct investment or in terms of equity participation should be evaluated accordingly. So it represents the company's efforts to systematically assess and manage and monitor the risks of the material potential impact to the strategic and financial decisions of the company. This is very important sir, that any further investment, whether the investors or whether the government of India funding or the banks funding it, will it have an impact which the company intended to bring in. It seeks positive returns and long-term impact on the society, environment and business performance, also called as social responsible investing. The whole idea is that whether the investors or whether the company is only having certain arm's length company which is as a vendor, or in terms of whether the inclusion in terms of vendor, in terms of participating lenders, whether the informed of the contractors engaged, whether they involve of the projects which are there in the getting involved through is considering the economically deprived, gender bias, or it is including all the gender. So social impact was also to be a very important part of the reporting pattern. Just a second. Yeah. So the consideration of environment, social, is it seen? Are you able to see the screen, sir?
Yes, Sanjeev ji. Yes. We can change now. Change slide. Yes.
Yeah. So the consideration of environment, social, and governance factors, along with the financial factors in the investment decision making process, was the objective or the matrix to be seen. Under the climate, it was climatic change, pollution, energy, waste, and water. Under the social, human rights, diversity, philanthropy, because a lot of projects under the CSR which is coming up, whether it is sustainable long-term impact or not, whatever the products are being made, whether the products which is being manufactured will have an impact in terms of the health of the public or the health of the environment or the health of the nature, access to the healthcare facilities, whether it is long-term or just a simple eyewash kind of a thing. The composition of board in terms of governance was most important factor to be looked into. Who are the people in the board, whether the board is having diverse people of expertise or it is just like a close-knit board members. What is the payment being made to the executive levels, including the top key management professionals or the top B board members? What kind of, is it everything is documented or not, everything is known to the public? Lobbying activities, transparency, tax transparency, whether the company is fulfilling all the liabilities or all the due requirement of as per the tax, and ethics and compliance, whether it is as per the good governance practices in terms of ABAC policy, which is we call it is anti-bribery, anti-corruption policies, and the compliances. These were the key metrics which we need to be reported by the company when they are finalizing their audited report. Under the environment factors, sir, obviously environment criteria considered to be how the company performs as a steward of nature, whether the activities involved are in line with the environment regulations, whether it is in line with the environmental clearance, whether it is in line with the consent to establish, and the compliances. Everything needs to be monitored, reported, and these reports are being done through some very strong compliance software, as well as it is getting reported to the monitoring regulatory bodies. This includes energy usage, waste generation, pollution, natural resource conservation, and treatment of animals, and many other things which are part of the natural environment. So one such example is being just projected, that there was an issue with the Volkswagen manufacturing equipment, where the emission control systems were not in line, and that called for recalling of the millions of watts, and there was a $4 billion fine on $4 billion US fine on the company. So just some things which is schematically presented as to what can be the part of the reporting which may lead to environment issues. Social is the most important factor which is being taken as a part of all the, as of now, this is getting done by only 500 Fortune companies, but now many companies willingly are trying to see that this gets reported through. It is like social criteria which involves relationship with the businesses and communities. Any business which involves some stakeholders in any form, whether in the form of contractors, suppliers, supply chain management, transporters, or even the workers, everywhere it has to be seen that it is integrating the entire hierarchy of the social people involved into that area, and can be a potential usage or potential stakeholder for that region or that particular project. It includes the attitude toward diversity. This diversity, equity, inclusion is most important, whether it is equity or whether it is equality. So that kind of diversity has to be ensured. Human rights, fighting slavery, consumer protection, as well as charity through CSR and volunteer programs. CSR is a very important activity. Now it is being strictly to be reported and monitored, ensuring that any activity which is being done should properly engage or get only impact or should have an impact to the nearby affected area, including a long-term impact. It cannot be just distribution of clothes or school bags or something like that. It should be something which is going to have an impact over a long period of the time. So it involves child labor. It includes diversity in terms of both gender, both in terms of racial, both in terms of caste, both in terms of high income groups. And obviously, very recently due to COVID, migration was one such which became very visible impact, that west to north, west to east was the migration continuously for a period of 15 to 30 days, which led to a lot of problems to the people and local communities to be engaged. Obviously, health and safety is the most important part for any project or any corporate to look into. Now, very serious implications are coming up if some accident or something is happening, and even the directors and board members, even non-executive board members, are now being taken as a part of liable and liable people for any mishap happening. Governance is most important part, sir. It is if the investor seeks companies that use accurate and transport accounting methods and allow voting on an important issues. Very few companies which are doing it in a very democratic manner and transparent manner is now this is becoming a very important part. Of late, it is now being looked up as a most important thing for any investors to invest their money, because lot of things depends upon that. Lot of people money through the public issue or gets changed, because if one change in a director or one change in a government company falls, so people have to be, this audited report has to be published and made public, so that people should be able to understand the risks involved and those who are the people governing that company. Good governance avoid conflict of interest such as bribery and corruption, crime and other legal. One such example is Enron went into bankruptcy due to accounting fraud made by its accounting firm. Arthur Andersen once considered the blue chip stocks dropped from $90 to very less. Some of the what can be the issues is obviously ABAC, that is bribery and corruption, executive pay, some non-competent people or competent people are paid high and low, vice versa. What are their shareholders' right involved into governance? What can be the illegal activities getting involved in, whether funds from one accounts is getting transferred to or others. So a lot of things needs to be properly reported, properly audited and made public. Tax obviously is the most important part. There is a lot of activities which is getting governed, is not been to properly governed. So tax strategy and board diversity. Board diversity is here also in governance also. It has to be gender diverse, it has to be expertise diverse, and it has to be diverse from the various fields, including international and national experts. It has a lot of benefits, sir. It gives into a lot of brand image and competitive advantage. It gives attracts good employees, loyal customers, and responsible investors. It increases the productivity and reduces the cost, because not only the environment factors helps us in giving the best usage of the resources utilized, it also gives clean and green operations, and it increases the compliance and ability to adapt the change regulations from timely manner. It is in alignment. I think the last two sessions was on sustainable development goals. So all the 17 goals get bucketed into different sectors, and it is completely in alignment with the sustainable goals achievement, or the goals, sustainable goals target areas, wherein environment is obviously those 7 numbers, 8 numbers, and social is 11 numbers, and governance is balance 8 numbers. So this is how all the sustainable goal gets fitted into or bucketed into the different ESG goals. It gives very important, sir. This is all for good. Any project cannot happen with the equity involved into an individual. No person can invest 100% of whatever is required to ensure that the proper company runs and the manufactures or produces things which can lead to a lot of growth in terms of employability or any other fact. So this, if practicing these 3 principles, with getting it embedded into the corporate working, will lead to a lot of gold. And this pandemic has accelerated the companies to push and align with the value of ESGs, increasing frequencies of climate emergencies, pushing the investor to drive companies to take top management accountable on ESG. It has the ability to attract, retain, and top quality talent. People do stay because if the company is properly functioning and growing, those who understand that these are the very important principles of those like the principles of life. We have very defined principles of living and life. This also is a factor which attracts talent and makes them glued to the company for doing the best of the growth of the company. And it also gives a lot of security and scrutiny to the company for the ESG parameters by analytics rating agencies, the various big fours or the various big agencies, auditors who are giving the values and whose statement do has a value in making the IPOs or the platforms where people are able to, based on whose recommendations people are able to invest in. This is a very important factor which comes up. So post just an importance of how the ESG has an impact on the CEO's agenda post pandemic is that the claim sustainability as the primary driver of competitive advantage long term. This was voted as 90%, and this is based on the CEO survey of 2022. CEOs adjusting their supply chains to manage geopolitical risk. This is another very important factor. For example, the recent factor is looking up as the supply of the chips to the automobile sector and the other manufacturing of the electronic items. So geopolitics also has an impact, and these are the factors which gets impact. So which are the companies where we need to, which are the stakeholders where we need to have arrangement with, that gets defined. CEOs identify ESG factors at par with revenue growth. This is the 78% of the CEO feels that this is what is requirement. 49% of the CEOs of the various company intends to invest in digital and technological innovations. Digital and technological innovations are one of very important tool which helps governing bodies or the governing CEOs to get data on their palm. And they believe that merger and acquisition will help accelerate the business transfer. So can it be done in one day? No. So how do they do it? And a person with expertise in one field and the person with expertise in other field, if they join or if they merge and acquire each other, then it helps in. So the importance is that global pandemic spikes interest in ethical companies. Companies and investors see financial benefits. Social activism towards sustainability is an important factor, and corporate activism is also on the rise. So that is why the importance of ESG is there, sir. Some of the things which got reported, obviously, these are some news papers cuttings, which are just say that India can attract 1 trillion in ESG investment and importance of new ESG rules in India. So the strategy is that it cannot be a separate from broader organizational strategy. The organization has a strategy to grow. Organization states that they want to grow in a very good governance and wants to be very disciplined. So the ESG tools is very effectively in achieving that same organizational strategy. It emphasizes on material issues, like say, for example, financial, environment, and social standpoint. Every resource which is being used has an impact on the money, has the impact on the resources, and has an impact on the inclusion. So these three gets through ESG. Strategic alignment, it also fully, this is one, every company wants to grow. So this is one tool how to, or a one way of ladder, step-by-step ladder, that if properly integrated, one can reach to the topmost. Broader leadership and oversight, it can bring in very good leadership, bring in very good pool of talent over a long period of the time. It also gives a lot of innovation technology. Without innovation and technology intervention, no company can grow. So it gives how to see that the resource gets protected and more people are there in the part with much more transparency. It has got a defined metrics. ESG is very clearly defined as to who will, what are the data to be filled in, what are the data to be assessed, and you get a very year-on-year data. In fact, it gets quarter-on-quarter data to see that if my quarter one was not on such parameters, what should I do to reach better in next quarters or immediate short term and immediate long term. So these are the things which are there, sir. It also helps in monitoring the various assessment as to how we are performing over a period of the time. Some of the reporting frameworks and rating agencies. These are the one is that United Nations Global Compact governing principles. They do have a measure or the parameters. Second, other is the SDG goals. Then you have a PRI, and one you have a World Economic Forum. So these are the agencies who evaluates or who puts in that how the company performs. What are the reporting frameworks? These are the reporting frameworks like GRI, SSAB, IFC, TCFD, and CDF, and these are the methods of doing it. In fact, sir, last week there was an ASSOCHAM which has conducted India conclave for the ESG reporting finance, and wherein Finance Minister or Ministry of Corporate Affairs were also present, along with the best of the companies of India who were trying to come into, who are trying to be a party. It was being contemplated there, and it would be a very of great help if, as this group, if we can suggest some more of the things, because we what was presented by us in that forum was that we should be having our own parameter. Why should we go for international reporting frameworks? And that will help us in identifying, coming out, even that we in the last two sessions we were reporting that the sustainable development goals should have at one more our internal way method of measurement. So this is one way where if we define our own reporting framework, where we can see that how emerging economies like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and other countries of Africa and some countries of Asia can have their own, and we have a different standard than what European countries or US are having. And these are the rating agencies. Definitely, sir, these are the agencies which can be there, but these agencies do lack only on the bringing on people from very top level management schools. They do not have long, very good expertise who are on this platform, who knows the subject and have got the expertise. So there is a huge potential to see bring in better practices and better methods of measurement and better expertise from different fields. These are the key sites of CRISIL sustainability book as to what are the parameters. If you look into, sir, this average standalone social scores of unlisted companies is only 4 points lower than the listed companies. So there are many companies which can go up. And these are the other parameters which are like last, if you see that only 14% of Indian companies are in the leadership categories and 27.3 are in average to weak categories. So these 14 companies can become 41 in next year and can become 100 also, subject to all the companies start working with a proper measurement. And we do have our own tweaking of the reporting pattern and parameters, which leads to better grade. Some of the misconceptions and problematic practices when dealing with the management of ESG issues is that excessive focusing on ratings, allocating more resource to check box instead of developing a strategy. What is happening is that we are just trying to put ourselves check box that this is the tick where I should put in and all. But how to reach to that is what is lacking. Treating ESG solely as a communication effort. This actually is a very bad thing, sir. We are actually looking at this as a part of just a communication, very good talk of the mouth. Whereas if the companies or if we as a whole start making this as an inbuilt practice, then it will become a part of our system and it becomes like a part of a healthy life, the healthy company. It becomes a tool of healthy company. Lack of board and management oversight. Obviously, most of the companies do have their board members which are not expertise from the people, from the family. And even if suppose these expertise are away, these expertise are put on the board, there is a lack of transparency from the promoters or from the companies who should have this thing. So there is a lack of trust from both the sides. Disconnect with the business strategy. Obviously, production becomes more of the priority because that gives me that direct cash or the cash flow improves, but they don't look into that long term this won't sustain. Compliance oriented approach appears to be reactive rather than reluctance to move beyond and all. If you see any of these environment compliance norms, or if you see any of the GST compliance norms or tax regulatory, if one by one if people start practicing, this would lead to a lot of benefits. the compliance norms, especially on the front of environment and in front of social and the regulatory fronts, are meant to make the company grow. That do involve a bit in initially some cost, but in the long term, those becomes better, reduces the operation and maintenance of the machinery and operation and maintenance of the threat of being loose. So these are the compliance approach. We people become reactive, inconsistency across the firm, broader and lack of assessment and monitoring. These are the things, sir, which is very much misconception about ESG, whereas ESG should be a part of living. The way we bring good health practices, whether it is spiritual health or the yoga or many other things which we are practicing as a part of, ESG is a part of growing the company on a broader scale. Thank you, sir. I hope I have been able to maintain the time as well as convey the things. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sanjeev ji. Yeah, I think if we can stop stop sharing that.
Yeah, just doing it, sir.
Yeah, so. Yeah, so thank you, Sanjeev ji. So excellent presentation. This is my very subject of interest actually. मेरा तो बहुत I have lot of interest in the subject particularly. So मैं इसलिए आपसे request किया. Though Sanjeev ji was very busy for the last 2 days, but I was trying कि ये subject पे, because I know he was working in the, and very good presentation he made, and thank you so much. Definitely हमारे आज जो लोग हम लोग एक्सपर्ट हैं डिस्कस करेंगे, हमारे जो व्यूअर्स जुड़े हैं, इट विल बी बेनिफिटेड, एंड आई थिंक दिस इज very aligned with the government efforts of the self compliance actually. That was the, for example, in the environment pollution control, government of India trying for the self compliance, because we cannot see in the pollution control board how many we officers have for the, and how much regulations, number of regulations we have every time, and how much people are busy with the different activity and not getting time to go, and you cannot monitor. Either technology or the self-compliance is the solution for the monitoring. That is very important. I think now 1,000 companies are there. Later on, it may next year maybe 2,000, then 5,000, maybe 10,000. So I think it will grow, and within 5 years, I think every company will come into that. Though ISO and things were there, was not very effective, but I think this ESG reporting on the environment front, social and governance will definitely help in the overall self-compliance. So very thank you so much, and definitely now I will discuss with the other experts. So we can go, I think, one by one. Start with the, I think, Dipankar Sahaji. Can you have some comments on the today's subject and presentation by Sanjeev ji?
Sure, Sanjeev ji. बहुत अच्छा, very good presentation. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
एक तो environmental जो governance, उसका convergency possible है, and participation is the key. Before planning, we have a provision for the public hearing.
Yeah.
That means we are talking about the same thing in a different way. There is a basic fundamental I used to say and discuss with all, is that whatever we do, it is for the public, for the society, and for the environment. The focus is always the three. Whatever we do, whether we are going for a 9,000 or 14,000 or 18,000 or 45,000. But the focus is same. The system should work. System. They are talking about the system. Even in 17025, they are talking about the customer satisfaction, the feedback system. It is there. But the problem is that company always desires to wish in his own way. They don't want to take people into confidence. They don't want to take the environment into confidence. Ultimately, companies, the companies are also, they don't take their management even into confidence. This was my assessment also. Now, what our Anilji has said, the self-governance. If you are responsible for your own thing, if you are answerable to your own thing and management, if you are answerable to your own activities, then it will really becomes an easier issue to resolve. Until and unless we are able to resolve these issues on our own, then the interference from the court is increasing all the time. The interference of the court is increasing, and we all know the Pollution Control Board and other departments, they are heavily burdened with the burden because there is no manpower with them. And it is also our vast geography, variety of problems, variety of environmental issues. So it is a kind of decentralized system, what I feel from the Sanjeev's presentation, that every person will be responsible to reply, work, and also compliance. And they will take care of everything on board, everyone on board, everything on board, so that remedial measures addressed immediately, so as to avoid the environmental compensation also nowadays. So Sanjeev, what I feel, every system talks for the people's participation, convergence of ideas. And even you talked about the convergence of economics. That means the shareholders should be made comfortable, they should be given confidence. And ultimately, when we will try to take them on board, that their money is being utilized for the good purposes, for the society, for the environment, for the compliances, the result is going to be beneficial for all. इतना ही अनिल जी, थैंक यू सो मच, बाद में आएंगे.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sir Sahab, बहुत so much. Thank you so much for your views. Now, Jindal ji, if you can make a few comments, RN Jindal sir.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
Excellent presentation by Mr. Sanjeev. Something, a new subject is being introduced in environment field, ESG, environment, social and governance. As such, experimentation is being done in the economy. As far as presentation is concerned, is very fine, and what international community is targeting is ambitious targets. Without looking into the facts, that things change overnight. Like Russia versus Ukraine war, what is happening to economy, what is happening to their own system. England has gone back to the coal. Earlier they were taking that for energy. Now they are crying for oil and gas. So, backdoor entry, solid fuel has come into play. So these targets and these, yes, these are ambitious things, ESG, and however, we are in the field of environment trying new ideas, ISO. Then this public liability, then this EC system in India. I was reading today paper, and a few weeks back, municipalities, state governments, heavy fines are being put up or heavy ECs being levied. Now, yesterday, some 50,000 rupees have been levied on Punjab Pollution Control Board. Now, and the money is to be deposited here and there. What is this happening? I don't know. So similarly, this system, ESG, it's excellent as far as the thinking or the what has gone into that why it should be in place. But as far as so far it has no legal backing in India. One, and these associations, SOCHAM or FICCI or CII, they try to start jumping on this and whole things, and government has got its own thinking. So there has to be match between realities, associations of the industries, and the government thinking. Otherwise, the system doesn't work. But let me, what I read is that by 2025, European investor will go for ESG audit of a company before investing, and especially the mutual funds. Even mutual funds, while they are investing in third world, including India and mutual funds of Europe, they will be investing, they will look for ESG audit. So our corporates are looking for international funding or international investment. They have to pull up their socks, and not only socks, they have to be compliant. But they are already, Europe thinks that they are making the standards. It is not. India is one of the countries, we have equal pay. It is not gender biased. As far as government sector is concerned, whether it's a male or female, they get equal pay. Rather, female get more leaves than the males in the service. So then equal voting right. Think of America, think of other countries, there were no voting right for the females. Many of the countries still in the world, they do not have voting right for the females. They do not have, even in the legal system, equal level of evidence. Evidence of the female is not considered as part of the evidence of male. But in our case, especially sexual harassment case, or at times evidence of the female is the only evidence, and that is being given more weightage. So it is not that Europe could be the standard, but given the scenario, it is happening. Our industry, our associations of the industry should take it cautiously. Without earning, they try to earn brownie point, having international visits and here and there and workshop and all those things, but without thinking that it could damage our industry scenario. Once again, but this is a nice presentation made by Mr. Sanjeev ji, and this is something, but I wish more time would have been given for the presentation so that it could have been more elaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jinder Saab. Thank you so much for your comments. Definitely, because today is the time is we are 10-15 minutes more, but we like actually one more session on this subject so that our experts can any other point, because we have so many number of experts maybe today may not be joined, maybe next time. So I think we will continue one more session on that. So thank you, Jinder Saab, again. So now I'll request Professor Meenakshi Dhote, if you can make a few comments, I mean, because today, so that we can have 2 to 3 minutes today, and then we'll further discuss. Professor Meenakshi Dhote on to this.
Thank you very much, and I'll congratulate Sanjeev for giving a very comprehensive presentation. And as the previous speakers had also highlighted, and Sanjeev towards the end mentioned that we need to have it tailored to our situation. The Indian condition, if we want to, the concept of environmental and social governance, these are actually 3 major arms to roll out things on ground. And it is something which is now being taken forward in a much more articulated manner. I'll try to give the analogy when we talk of building. There was a time when we were talking, I mean, we talk about green buildings, Griha rating and all that, LEED rating. There, many a time there is a feeling that we have rated buildings, but we don't have green buildings. So we must not get swayed away by the indicators as much as what we are achieving on ground. Therefore, Indianization, because time is short, I don't want to think, it is very much needed so that we, in bits and pieces, it is happening. But what is suited to our condition, to rate our things so that, and us, by sheer numbers, we are going to have many more businesses, many more companies, because the country being populous. So we have to seriously invest into finding out what should be the parameters for the Indian situation. Also, there are certain things which the government has worked out in the SDG, some indicators which are India specific. So we should link it to that. And then I would end by saying that there are 5 P's of sustainability, which is people, planet, prosperity, participation, and peace. So these should be some things which should be the guiding and taking forward the concept of ESG further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, and definitely will hopefully will continue next, so we can get more time, so our members can because we want, I mean, this some recommendations we may send to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and all the associations. So we'll definitely work on these some kind of recommendations on this subject, very important subject. So thank you, madam. So now we'll request Shyam Gupta ji, if you can, SK Gupta ji, quick comments. 2-3 minutes you can make today, and then we can further continue in the next one. So SK Gupta ji.
Okay. Thank you, Anil ji. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. सर, संजीव जी का बहुत ही एलोबरेटेड प्रेजेंटेशन था और कितने मन से उन्होंने सारी चीजें बताई, और जैसे जैसे मैं सुनता जा रहा था मेरे मन में एक भावना बढ़ती जा रही थी कि जैसे पुरानी शराब नई बोतल में डाली जा रही है। भाई बहुत पुरानी सही है। मुझे को इस बात ऐसा लग रहा था कि जैसे हम एक पोल्यूटर को ग्लोरिफिकेशन करने का तरीका ढूंढ रहे हैं कि कैसे पोल्यूटर जो है उसको उस टैक्स से हटाया जाए, स्टिग्मा से हटाया जाए, और उसको ये बताया जाए कि भाई तुम पोल्यूटर, तुम बहुत अच्छा सोसाइटी के लिए काम कर रहे हो।
अच्छा सर, मैं फाइनल कमेंट्स उनको करूंगा।
तो इस तरह का मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगा कि सारा एफर्ट जो है थोड़ा गुमराह करने का हो रहा है। ये किसी भी चीज को कि जो पोल्यूटर हैं उनको थोड़ा सा ग्लोरीफाई कर दिया जाए, उनको ये बताया जाए कि नहीं, सोसाइटी में इनका भी बड़ा मान है, बड़ा सोशल गवर्नेंस कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, पर्यावरण को बचा रहे हैं। लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमारे जो पुराने लॉज थे या रूल्स बने हुए थे उनमें क्या खराबी थी जो ESG को लाने की जरूरत महसूस होती। क्या हमारा एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट इस काबिल नहीं था कि हम इंडस्ट्री को कह सकते या किसी भी डेवलपिंग प्रोजेक्ट को कह सकते कि भाई तुम एनवायरनमेंट का नुकसान कर रहे हो, या सोशल एस्पेक्ट्स को नहीं देख रहे, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स को नहीं देख रहे। यानी हमने जो एनवायरनमेंट की डेफिनेशन है उसको सिर्फ इकोनॉमिक एनवायरनमेंट डेवलपमेंट को इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट की तरह समझ लिया खाली। तो मुझे लगता है कि हम भटक रहे हैं। और जो EIA है एक बड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग मतलब एक मैकेनिज्म था हमारे देश में, 86 में आया था एक्ट के द्वारा, कि हम इससे एक रियल असेसमेंट करके अपने सोशल एनवायरनमेंट को, कल्चरल एनवायरनमेंट को, नेचुरल एनवायरनमेंट को सबको बचा सके। तो क्या हमें एक असेसमेंट करने की पहले जरूरत ये नहीं है कि क्या हम कितने इफेक्टिव रहे हैं EIA को इम्प्लीमेंट करने में? क्या किसी भी डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट ने एनवायरनमेंट का हार्म नहीं किया, किसी सोशल एस्पेक्ट का हार्म नहीं किया, किसी कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट का हार्म नहीं किया? हम उसे तो बचा नहीं पाए, अब हम उसी पुरानी चीज को एक नई बोतल में डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। अच्छा, अब इसको हम ESG कह देते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा सा मे बी आई एम नॉट फिट फॉर दिस फोरम टू कन्वे दिस, बट मुझे लगा कि मेरे मन में है कि हम उसी बात को एक नई तरीके से कहने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में हमारे यहाँ काफी खामियां हैं, कमियां हैं, उसको सुधारने की हम कोशिश नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो चाहे ESG बना लें, चाहे कोई और नया नाम दे के बना लें, कमियां वहीं की वहीं रहेंगी, एनवायरनमेंट वहीं की वहीं इम्पैक्ट होता रहेगा। लेकिन उसको हम बचाने की या उसकी कोशिश कर ही नहीं रहे, हम उसको खराब होते हुए देख रहे हैं। और नई नई समस्याएं जैसे क्लाइमेट चेंज अब हमारे सामने मुंह फाड़े खड़ा है, अभी दिख रहा है सबको। नाउ इट इज बीइंग सीन बाय एवरीबॉडी। पहले नहीं दिख रहा था, लेकिन अब ये दिखना शुरू हो गया। तो शायद अब ज्यादा लोगों को, सोसाइटी को चिंता हो रही है वर्ल्ड ओवर, यार ये तो बिजनेस बंद हो जाएंगे, इकोनॉमी डाउन हो जाएगी, इंडस्ट्री डाउन हो जाएगी। किस तरह से एक नया नाम देके इस सबको बचाया जाए? मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये उस दिशा में एक प्रयास हो रहा है। यही मेरा सिर्फ कमेंट।
थैंक यू गुप्ता जी, थैंक यू फॉर आई थिंक
अनिल जी सॉरी आज हमारे लाल बहादुर जी शास्त्री का भी जन्मदिन है।
हाँ सर मेरा मिस हो गया। जी बिल्कुल
मिस हो गया था। दूसरा हमारा गुप्ता जी का जो एनवायरमेंट इंस्ट्रूमेंट प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, उनका भी 40 ईयर कंप्लीशन हुआ।
अरे वाह गुप्ता जी, बहुत बधाई हो भाई। जो है आप तो हमारे
बहुत बड़ा दिन है, प्लीज।
बिल्कुल गुप्ता जी, शुरुआत में जो है तब जब से मैंने एनवायरमेंट फील्ड में है तब से गुप्ता जी को पता है कि शुरुआत इंडिया में पर्टिकुलरली जो इनका एनवायरमेंट पे और मॉनिटरिंग पे कितना फोकस किया। तो थैंक यू गुप्ता जी, आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, और आप इसी तरह सब हम सब लोगों का मार्गदर्शन करते रहें। तो थैंक यू सो मच। नाउ आज टाइम हमारे पास कम, अदर एक्सपर्ट्स को नहीं ले पाएंगे, तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा श्री पार्थोस त्यागी सर से, हमारे सबके गुरु, हमारे सबके मेंटर, कि आज जो इस पे सब्जेक्ट पे लिया हुआ है उनके व्यूज और उनके फाइनल कमेंट्स के साथ हम इस मीटिंग को आज क्लोज करेंगे। अदर एक्सपर्ट्स को हम विल डेफिनेटली कंटिन्यू इन दी नेक्स्ट सेशन दैट विल। सो पार्थोस त्यागी सर।
अनिल कुमार जी, बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। बाकी सबको मेरी ग्रीटिंग्स। और मैंने हर एक बोलने वाले के बाद हाथ उठाया।
सर मैं आज मिस हो गया, मुझसे मैंने देख नहीं पाया।
कोई बात नहीं, मेरा पर्पज ये था कि संजीव कुमार जी का इतना अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन था कि उसमें कुछ सवाल पूछे जा सकते थे, और वो उनके प्रेजेंटेशन के एकदम बाद पूछे जाते तो ज्यादा रेलेवेंट होता।
चलो सर, हम नेक्स्ट में करेंगे सर, ऐसा करेंगे।
हाँ,
उसको रन थ्रू
तो
कर देंगे।
मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि संजीव कुमार जी हमें ये प्रॉमिस कर दें कि अगली मीटिंग में आएंगे। और इस वक्त जो श्याम गुप्ता जी ने सवाल उठाया है नई पुरानी बोतल का, वो भी जरा सा डिस्कस कर लें कि कैसे ये सुधार है। और एक दो सवाल मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ बजाय कमेंट्स देने के, उनको भी अगर संजीव कुमार जी नोट कर लें। एक तो उन्होंने कहा कि ESG की रिपोर्ट ऑडिटेड होती है, तो ऑडिटर्स कहाँ से आ गए इसके? अभी तो इसका ऑडिट करना भी शुरू नहीं हुआ, तो वो ऑडिटर्स भी बन गए, एक्रेडिटेशन भी हो गया उनका, और उनकी रिपोर्ट में ऑथेंटिसिटी आ गई, स्टैट्यूटरी पावर आ गई। ये सब कहाँ से हो गया, इसके बारे में मैं जानना चाहता था। दूसरा ये कि सेबी ने एक और सर्कुलर निकाल दिया, टर्म बदल दी। जो ही आप टर्म बदलते हैं त्यों ही स्कोप बदल जाता है, डेफिनेशंस बदल जाती हैं। तो वो जो सेबी का सर्कुलर है और ESG की जो प्रैक्टिस आगे बढ़ रही थी, उनका क्या उनमें हार्मनी है या कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है? आर दे डैमेजिंग ईच अदर और आर दे हेल्पिंग ईच अदर? अगली बात मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि ये जो एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, ऐसे कंसेप्ट भी इसमें कहीं कवर हुए हैं क्या? या तो एनवायरनमेंट में कवर होने चाहिए, या सोशल में, या गवर्नेंस में, कहीं तीनों जगह गुंजाइश है, पर कहीं कवर हुए हैं क्या? तीसरा ये कि लाइफ साइकिल एनालिसिस, अगर प्रोडक्ट्स के बारे में सोच रहे हैं, जैसे वोल्क्सवैगन वाज ए प्रोडक्ट, तो उस तरीके से अगर ये प्रोडक्ट के बारे में सोच रहे हैं तो लाइफ साइकिल एनालिसिस के बिना काम नहीं चलेगा। और लाइफ साइकिल एनालिसिस अगर होगा तो वो भी रिपोर्ट का एक हिस्सा होना चाहिए, और उसका ऑडिटेड एक अप्रूवल कि ऐसा ऐसा हमने देखा और ये ठीक है। एक चीज सिर्फ लैंग्वेज की है। ओवरसी का मतलब होता था देखना, और ओवरसियर वर्ड इसी से आया, मगर ओवरसाइट, जहां तक मैंने अंग्रेजी को जाना है, ये एक भूल है। और हर जगह इस प्रेजेंटेशन में संजीव कुमार जी ने ओवरसाइट इस्तेमाल किया है, और क्या उनका आशय ओवरसीइंग से था या ओवरसाइट से था, इसको वो देख लें और अपने प्रेजेंटेशन को ठीक करना या समझें। या अगर वो यही ठीक समझते हैं तो मुझे कोई एतराज नहीं है, मैं सही मतलब निकाल लूंगा जो वो ऐसा प्रेजेंट करेंगे। ये थोड़े से प्रश्न थे। इसके अलावा जब इन प्रश्नों को सॉल्व करेंगे आप, तो इनकी जो हार्मनी है तीन सेक्शंस की, जैसे मैं कह रहा था एक ही इशू तीनों में कवर हो रहा है। आपने दिखलाया था कि ये जो 17 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं, ये भी हर एक उसमें ओवरलैप कर रहे हैं। तो इस पे ज़रा और गौर कर लें ताकि हम लोगों को एक क्लियरर कंसेप्ट मिल सके। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सर। तो संजीव जी, आज मतलब आप तो समझ लीजिए आपकी तैयारी, और आपको ये नेक्स्ट वीक की थोड़ी तैयारी, और हम सब लोग भी कोशिश करेंगे, थोड़ा स्टडी करेंगे। और सर ने बहुत ही रिलेवेंट पॉइंट्स उठाए हैं कि एटलीस्ट हमारे इंडिया में जो हम कर रहे हैं, हमारे जो अभी गुप्ता जी ने कहा EIA में पूरा एनवायरनमेंट कवर था और सोशल भी कवर था। जो CER कॉन्सेप्ट था मिनिस्ट्री का, जो कॉर्पोरेट एनवायरनमेंट रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है, ये ऑलरेडी दैट वाज पार्ट ऑफ द सोशल एंड अदर एनवायरनमेंट के साथ सोशल भी था, कवर था कि हम जो सराउंडिंग में जो इम्पैक्टेड पीपल है उनके लिए क्या करेंगे, और उनको सराउंडिंग में एनवायरनमेंट सोशल दोनों कवर था। तो आई थिंक ये एडिशनल एक गवर्नेंस का इशू ऐड करके और उसी को नए फॉर्म में बिल्कुल सही है। इसको बट वी नीड टू डेफिनेटली इंटरनेशनली अगर हमें कॉम्पिटिटिव होना है तो डेफिनेटली जाना पड़ेगा। बट हमें ये एड्रेस जो सर ने पॉइंट्स उठाए हैं, डेफिनेटली वी वांट टू डिस्कस विद द नेक्स्ट मीटिंग। तो संजीव जी आज कुछ कहना चाहेंगे सर?
नहीं, जस्ट वन रिक्वेस्ट
सर,
अगर संजीव कुमार जी को एतराज ना हो तो इनके प्रेजेंटेशन
आपका सर म्यूट हो गया, सर म्यूट हो गया। हाँ जी,
देख कर अगली दफे जो बात उन्हें समझ सकें।
ठीक है सर। संजीव जी
सर पहले तो मैं बहुत कृतज्ञ हूँ कि ये प्रश्न आए हैं, और मैं मोस्ट हम्बली मैं ये कहता हूँ कि मैंने एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ, मैंने भी जो पढ़ा है, सो आई ट्राई टू कंपाइल एंड पुट इट अप, but definitely that does not leave me behind, that I will not start, I will go more deep into it, and I will try to collate more information for the discussions, and will try to get more information, sir. So I will certainly come out in the next week with all this, and I will circulate these slides to all of you, so that थोड़ा आप लोगों से भी और भी अच्छा बन के आ जाएगा, क्योंकि मैं भी बहुत सर एक्सपीरियंस नहीं हूं, बट ये है कि हम एक पार्ट ऑफ द सिस्टम ऑफ द रिपोर्टिंग पैटर्न है। एज अ कंपनी वी आर स्टार्टेड लास्ट 2 years का हमारा जो एनुअल रिपोर्ट है उसमें ESG रिपोर्ट भी हम सबमिट कर रहे हैं, और आई एम कोऑर्डिनेटिंग एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द कंपनी एम्प्लॉय फॉर द रिपोर्टिंग ऑफ आवर कंपनी, सो आई विल सर्टेनली कम आउट विद दैट सर।
थैंक यू संजीव जी। आई काफी इंटरेस्ट लोगों में है, सब में सब्जेक्ट पे है, और अभी हम लोग डेफिनेटली कुछ हम लोगों के लिए, शायद कुछ लोगों के लिए बहुत इस सब्जेक्ट में डीप में नहीं जा पाए। संजीव जी तो खैर इसमें कर रहे हैं, बहुत से लोग तो हमने इस पे सब्जेक्ट पे पढ़ाई है और सुना था और इस पे थोड़ा थोड़ा स्टडी किया है, बट आई थिंक दिस विल नीड वन मोर सेशन। So with thanks to all and thanks to सर मेन पार्थो त्यागी सर, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट जो पॉइंट्स इसमें से जो एक जिस्ट निकाल के बताया हम सब लोगों को कि फर्दर जाने के लिए। तो इसी सब के साथ सभी हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स का, और नीरज जी पर्टिकुलरली और शर्मा जी, बहुत से लोग आज, रविंदर जी बहुत लोग रह गए, आज नहीं ले पाए, तो नेक्स्ट सेशन में हम आप सब लोग जो है डिस्कस करेंगे, बिकॉज टाइम की कमी, हम चाहते नहीं कि बहुत ज्यादा 1 बजे के बाद जो है ज्यादा सब लोगों को लंच पे, संडे वाला दिन होता है, ज्यादा रुका जाए, अदरवाइज तो हम इसको कंटिन्यू कर सकते थे, बट आज संडे का दिन है, सबका टाइम होता है, तो हम नेक्स्ट सेशन में लेंगे। और इसी के साथ सभी एक्सपर्ट्स का, सभी व्यूअर्स का धन्यवाद करते हुए क्लोज टुडेज मीटिंग, एंड नेक्स्ट संडे को 12 बजे हम इसी सेशन के मिलेंगे इसी सब्जेक्ट के साथ। थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू एवरीवन।